If you know that you're supposed to be teaching your students a strategy for reading longer words, but you don't know what to do, this video is for you. My name is Anna Geiger. I'm the author of Reach All Readers, host of the Reach All Readers podcast, and creator of the Reach All Readers Plus membership. And it used to be when students came across longer words, my only strategy was find a chunk you know. And then when they tried something, I would say, does that make sense? That was pretty much the extent of it. Since then, I've learned multiple strategies for helping students read longer words. One of those is a more rigid approach I learned through my Orton-Gillingham training, and since then I've learned about a more flexible approach that now is the one that I recommend. In this video, I want to walk you through the difference between the two and remind you our goal is always to help students read the words accurately in the most efficient manner possible. Efficient in terms of how much time it takes them and how much time it takes us to actually teach and practice the procedure in class. We also want to be careful about cognitive overload. And my concern is that with these rigid syllable division patterns and rules, we might be increasing cognitive load for our students unnecessarily. So I want to show you now two different approaches, the rigid and the more flexible approach. Okay, let's start with a more rigid syllable division strategy. In this case, we'll start by underlining and labeling the vowels. So these are our vowels. We'll put V's down here. If we look between our vowels and draw a bridge, we can look up and see that we have a consonant. So we'll put a C right here on our bridge, and then we think about the syllable division strategies that we've learned. So we have V/CV or VC/V. We'll start by trying this one, and we will divide like this between the first V and the C. And in doing that, I know that this is an open syllable because it ends with a vowel, so I'll write an O up here. And this is a closed syllable because it ends with a single vowel and a consonant, so I'll write CL at the top. An open syllable is pronounced with a long vowel sound and a closed syllable with a short vowel sound. So as I decode this word, I will have Robin, Robin, Robin. That's not a word I know, so I'm going to try a different way. I'm going to try dividing this way according to the other pattern. And now, since it ends with a single vowel and a consonant, I have another closed syllable. That means this will be a short vowel, and I will read the word. So, robin, robin. I know what a robin is. It's a bird outside my window at my bird feeder. All right, I've done it. I've read this word with a more rigid syllable division strategy. Let's try it with a flexible strategy. It starts the same way. I find my vowels. So I'm going to underline the O and the I. And because there are two vowels, I know there must be two syllables, so I have to divide the word in two. And to do that, I'm going to look at this vowel, go past the next grapheme, which could be a single letter or multiple letters, if it's, for example, SH, spelling sh, and then I'm going to divide after that. This idea of gluing it to the next grapheme is something I learned from Katie Huller. You can check her out at her website, kidscanreadandwrite.com. This makes a lot of sense to me. You can always adjust and be flexible. What I like about it is it's consistent in terms of just always move past the next grapheme before you divide. So I've done that, I've divided it, and now I'm going to sound it out. Robin, Robin. I've got it. And that was much faster than the other method. You might say, well, what about if this really doesn't work? Let's look at another word. Here's our next longer word for students to use their syllable division strategies. So we might think about, again, finding those vowels, labeling them, drawing a bridge, looking up. I see a consonant. Okay, so I'm going to divide after that first vowel, which means I have an open syllable and a closed syllable. And open is a long vowel sound, so I'm going to read music. Our rigid syllable division got us to the word pretty quickly, if students can remember those steps as quickly as I did, of course. And we did, though, have to do a little bit of flexing with that S, right? So instead of saying S, we had to say Z. And there's different sounds we could have for that U. It could be oo, it could be you. So even with this rigid approach, we still have to have some flexibility. Let's try the more flexible approach. Again, we're going to find our vowels. We're going to glue this to the next grapheme and divide. And we would probably read it like this. Music, music, music. At that point, we would teach students to flex the vowel. Try a different sound for that first vowel. So I'm going to try ooh, because I know that you can say or ooh or you. So music, 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 music. All right, so again, we got to the correct word, but we had to be flexible, something we want to teach our students very early on. Let's take a word with a different syllable division pattern. All right, in this case, again, with the more rigid approach, I would underline the vowels, mark them, draw my bridge, look up, I see 2 consonants, and now I would remember my pattern of VC, CV, and I'm going to divide in between the consonants like this. Now, since I have a vowel and a consonant, this is a closed syllable. Another vowel and a consonant closed, which means these will be short. Cactus, 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 cactus. Okay, so even with the rigid approach, I did have to flex that vowel to get us to our schwa, which is the most common English vowel sound. Let's go ahead and try it again, this time with a more flexible approach. So I'm going to underline my vowels. I'm going to glue this to the next grapheme and divide, and I'm going to sound it out. Cactus, cactus, cactus. All right, we got to the same word with fewer steps. What about a much longer word? What about a word like this? Okay, with my rigid approach, I'm going to start by just working with the first 2 vowels. So this is a vowel and this is a vowel. The AR comes together as a team. I'm going to label these. Draw my bridge and look up. I see 2 consonants. All right, that's easy. VC, CV. I'm going to keep going to find another vowel. Here we go. I'm going to draw my bridge, look up. I see 2 consonants again. I'm going to divide. Then I'm going to keep going to my last vowel. And I'm going to draw my bridge, look up. I've got a consonant there. So I'll try like this. Okay, now I have to label all my syllables. So this will be closed. Are controlled, and then open, and then open. So if I read this exactly as I've been taught in terms of what sounds to expect for each syllable type, it would be Antarctica, 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 Antarctica. Okay, so I got there. A lot of steps. Let's try a more flexible approach. In this case, I would again underline my vowels. So I've got an A. I know AR goes together for a vowel. I've got an I and an A again. And I'm going to glue this to the next grapheme, divide. Same thing here. Same thing here, and divide. Okay, now I'm going to try to sound it out. Antarctic. Antarctica. In my opinion, the flexible syllable division method is superior because it requires less time to teach, less time to practice, and is more efficient in the moment. In the future, I'll be putting out a longer video with many more examples of teaching kids to decode words using that flexible syllable division strategy. So look out for that. In the meantime, if you'd like to learn more about building phonics skills with your students, including helping them read longer words, you're invited to my challenge, Invigorate Your Phonics Instruction. You can find a link below this video. You'll get access to 5 daily videos and challenges, as well as extra bonus material that you can use to invigorate your phonics instruction. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.